Hi guys, my name's Bex, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing to you my September wrap-up. It is that time again, guys. It is wrap-up time, and I'm so ready to share with you what I have read in the month of September. Let's talk about September a little bit first. So September was a pretty awful reading month. I was trying to get over the reading slump that the Newt's Magical Readathon left me, so it was a bit of a slow start. I think I finished my first book on maybe the 20th of September, which is just absolutely crazy for me. But overall, Slump City was here and I'm glad I'm finally over it. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the stats for September. As I've said, I ended up finishing 4 books, but the page total was 1,392 pages, and I only ended up reading 2 genres, which was 2 fantasy and 2 horror novels. But the breakdown of the audience for this one, they were 3 YAs and 1 middle grade. So not too much diversity this month in terms of genre or in terms of audience, but I did end up reading horror, which is not normally a genre I dive into, so technically this month was a little bit outside of my comfort zone, and it's kind of a mix with the format too. 1 audiobook as usual, 1 graphic novel, and 2 physical books. So without further ado, with all the stats wrapped up, let's dive into the books, starting with my least favorite book all the way up to my favorite book of the month. And my least favorite book of the month was Isola Volume 1 by Brendan Fletcher. I gave this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars. This book is a graphic novel that was giving me Black Panther vibes. It is about an evil spell that was cast on the Queen of Ma, and the captain of her guard will do anything to reverse this spell. And the only hope they have is the land of the dead, Isola, and that is where they're heading, so it's a little bit of an adventure novel. It just didn't really do much for me, if I'm honest. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal. Like, this is gorgeous, and I really loved reading this art style, but nothing else about this book really grabbed my attention. The story kind of bored me a little bit. Like, I understood where it was going and what it was trying to do, but it just left me underwhelmed. I didn't really connect to the main character. I didn't really understand what was happening. It kind of just dived in when the Queen of Ma already had this spell on her, and I didn't really get invested in the story because this was already happening, and I was just a little bit confused, if I'm honest, and the ending didn't leave much to be desired. It kind of just finished, and I was just like, okay, that was maybe a little bit of a waste of my time. Ugh, I'm not sure I'm going to continue this, but it was a book. It was a book. The next book I want to talk to you about is my 3-star read of the month. This one is an overly hyped book on BookTube, so I'm scared to say that it was Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is a story about girls stuck on Raxter Island. They are there for a all-girls school, but then this kind of tox starts infecting everyone. First it was the teachers, and most of them passed away, and then it started infecting the students and kind of gives them like deformities. Pretty underwhelming for me. I feel like this book got a lot of hype. What this book is very atmospheric. It's a very creepy vibe, and I really got that while reading it. I was a little bit scared in some points because I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat. Overall, without the setting and without the eerie atmosphere, this book was kind of bland. I think the main character was cool, and I liked the diverse characters in this one, but like some of the character decisions I didn't really understand, and then the ending happened and it just kind of stopped. And I assume it was for the writer to leave it open, but at this stage, this is a standalone, so it just stopped. And I was just like, what? It's like a create your own conclusion, because that's all you can do without a second book to tell you what happened. And I'm just not really sure I'm feeling another book around this. I think the finish of the book can really make or break a story, and for Wilder Girls, the conclusion really ruined it, because I was just left sitting waiting for more, and there was none. So yeah. Next up is my 4-star read of the month, and it was Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall, and this one was kindly sent to me from Walker Books Australia, so thank you very much Walker Books Australia for sending this one to me for an honest review. I will leave a link to my review down below, and this story for me was really unexpected, and I really enjoyed it. This story is kind of haunting, and it surrounds a friendship, and it gave me absolute chills. It follows a little town called Briar Glen, where once a year a path appears and the ghost of Lucy Gallows beckons. It has been 1 year since Sarah's sister Becca was taken, following the road in search of Lucy, never to be seen again. And as Sarah settles back into high school, nothing has ever been the same since Becca's been gone. Basically from there, a mysterious text sent around, and Sarah and her friends meet up despite their differences, and go and try to find Lucy and Becca. And I was really, really nervous going into Rules for Vanishing. I'd just read Wilder Girls, and I'm not a huge mystery horror fan, so I was kind of tempting fate in would I like two books kind of the same genre, but this one just was fantastic. There were a lot of elements that I really, really loved. First thing I noticed going into Rules for Vanishing was that the writing style was really, really complex. I think there are a lot of layers that went into the story, and I really, really appreciated that. This is kind of told in mixed multimedia format, in interviews and kind of in phone footage, and I think these were written in really, really well with no major flaw. And the story's kind of told in like a mockumentary, but also has dual timelines, so we're kind of going back and forth. But I really had to pay attention. Not only was the narrator unreliable, I think the author really played to her strengths and added a lot of characters to you kind of forgot who everybody was. I think she did that on purpose, because from there you kind of didn't guess the twists and turns. You actually forgot some characters that turned up later and you're like, what is even happening? So I think the author did a good job of playing to that, but it was also a little bit of a detriment, meaning that the other side characters other than the main character were forgettable, and you literally were reading the book and forgot them. I think suspense was created really, really well writing like this, but it leaves for forgettable characters, and just ultimately, if it's not the main character I'm talking about, I really couldn't tell you a trait about any of the others. The atmosphere that was created in Rules for Vanishing was fantastic. It was kind of like a portal fantasy. They kind of stepped into a different world when they were on the path, and I really, really loved that. And I really, really enjoyed the story. There was twists and there were turns, and I didn't expect it. So most of all, I really, really liked it, with a few little things that could have been fixed up. But other than that, they're really, really good. I think it's a good read for around this time of year, around October. And yeah, I definitely recommend picking this one up if you're looking for like a YA mystery sort of situation with a few ghosts. And last but not least, the 4.5 star read of the month and my favourite book of the month. It was The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. This is my audiobook for the month. If you have been following my previous wrap-ups, I've read all of these now. This is the final book in the Heroes of Olympus series, and I freaking loved it. The only reason Rick Riordan ever gets 4.5 is because his stories are really predictable and they kind of follow the same path every time. And there's nothing that I didn't like other than the predictability of it. I think his stories are really complex, his characters are complex. There's so many characters, but he really fleshes them out well and he really develops them. Not one of them is a detriment to the story. They all add something, they all bring something different, and I just really, really like them. There's so many characters in here that are so fantastic. Obviously we follow some characters from the Percy Jackson series as well, so some characters cross over, and I just cannot wait to read more of Rick Riordan's writing. Obviously this is a middle grade, so I'm older reading this, but I still really, really enjoyed it. And I think that's the thing about Rick Riordan's writing. If I'm nearly 28 and still loving reading his books for the first time, that's got to say something about the writer in my opinion. But yeah, really, really good. 4.5 stars. I obviously can't tell you too much about it. The whole series starts off kind of following a guy named Jason who turns up on a bus holding a girl's hand, and he has no idea who she is, who he is, how he got there, and the story goes from there. Monsters then attack and he gets taken to Camp Half-Blood, and yeah, it moves on from there. It's just so good. It's such a good series. I would definitely recommend these ones to younger readers. They're complex, they are diverse, they go into so many different layers, and I really, really enjoyed it. And that is it for me today, guys. Those are the books that I read in the month of September, and overall it was like an okay reading month. It wasn't probably the best. The first two books I mentioned weren't that great, but I'm glad I'm still getting out of my comfort zone and reading some different genres. But that is it for me today, guys. If you did like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more and have not already, and chat to me down in the comments. Let me know what books you read in the month of September. I would love to hear. But that's it for me today, guys. I make videos every Monday and Thursday, and I'll see you in a new one. Bye!